Joining us right now from somewhere around the world, Mike from around the world. Mike, how you doing tonight?
Good evening, Pastor Paul. Doing well.
Good, Mike. It's so good to hear your voice. I'm glad you're doing well. Wow. In the last 7 days since we talked with you. All right. Okay. I mean, we have the volcano, of course, and we know now that the earthquake in Myanmar has killed 3,145, and it will go higher.
Yeah.
We know that we have solar flares exploding on the sun. Yeah. We know that we have tornadoes and floods and absolute insane weather, and continues to go on as we speak, and will again the next 3-4 days across America. It's unbelievable. We have wars, and we have China has now decided to surround Taiwan. The war continues to rage on with Russia and Ukraine. Of course, Israel is making more of an aggressive move to just basically just take over Gaza. It seems like everywhere we turn, Mike, there's chaos. A volcano erupted in Iceland. So what's causing? And there's reports that the core of the earth has stopped and maybe going to reverse. Can you help us understand what is going on?
Yeah. Speaking of the core of the earth, have you ever heard of some of people named currents that flow throughout the earth, right?
Yeah.
There are, especially some of the telluric currents, right? Some people say they're established, of course, but some of the people are still indifferent to those currents. But anyway, when the sun is when it's having its fluctuations in solar activity like it is right now, we normally get it normally triggers quakes on the earth, and it has this time it caused somewhat of an abrupt acceleration in the angular velocity of the earth changing certain parts of its inertia. That can cause earthquakes too, right?
Yeah.
Some say, it's theoretical, of course, it's not proven, that surges in the telluric currents happen, causing, messing with the earth, the crust of the earth. I believe the angular momentum of the earth is disturbed every time we have any type of CME or something that hits us, right? Yeah. Because it actually abruptly can speed us up or slow us down, right?
Okay.
Either way.
Okay.
And that will cause a bit of crustal, shifting and shaking. Also, we have pressure to deal with. Pressure in the atmosphere is a known fact whenever we have a discharge from the sun. So that's it. Some of the correlations between the atmosphere and the Earth's surface is not determined in academia just yet, not in public science, but it will be as we continue to go through compression events all throughout the Earth. And concerning the core of the Earth, the Earth is tilting. The rim of the Earth is changing. It's altering.
Tilting.
It's going north. That's right.
Tilting north.
And soon we're going to have, that's a big wall of water too. That's a huge wall of water. Yeah. If anything spun around, if you spin a balloon, if you could spin a water balloon on its axis, it would flatten out, of course, at the rim, right? If the axis changes, so does the rim of that water swell or the water pressure on that rim. So as it comes towards us, the USA, the Earth is going to continue to go through its changes. Right, it's going to continue to do that. Some of the complications, and that's one thing. That's one thing we will most certainly go through. But dealing with the core of the Earth, it's a known fact that the core of the Earth, it is theoretical, by the way, because they really can't determine anything below a specific level. So it's theoretical on the inside, but it has slowed down. And the reason why they think it has slowed down is due to some of the chaotic currents that are going naturally through the earth. They're altering, they're changing. The surface of the earth is also changing. The magnetosphere is changing, and it matches the rotation of the core of the earth, because they're basing this off of a dynamo.
Now that I didn't know.
Type of dynamo theory. Yeah. So when if it were to stop, the core of the Earth, we would have no magnetosphere, none, nothing.
So we'd have
And so
no
we'd be-
protection from the
No,
sun's.
we would not. We would not. And that here's the danger. As they already know, there's a 70-year cycle of the reversing direction of the interior parts of the Earth. But they also know about the abruptness of how it can take place. And right now, it seems like we're having more of an abrupt change in the Earth.
Really?
Now, it's known historically, it's somewhat known through, I'll say, some pretty good findings that this process has happened back to back in some, eras of the past. If that were to happen today, it would fry everything topside. And when I say fry, we'd have no electric grid, unless you have buried lines or something like that. So that would be horrific, right?
Yeah.
That's a big danger. We know we have chaotic patterns in the shielding of the Earth. Chaotic patterns. Now, it always goes through a chaos period prior to a reversal, right?
Okay.
But the Earth has not been inhabited this way since it happened last time.
Oh,
right?
you're
It's
saying the
just
last
animal and
time,
plant life.
last time it happened, humans weren't on the Earth yet.
Well, just animal and plant life, and,
Okay.
and not like we are now,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So who knows what the past really was, but it wasn't like it was now. Now we have civilizations, cities. We depend upon power, computers, right?
Yeah.
All of that will be gone. As it changes, the human body is intimately tied to all the changes in the Earth. It is inescapable, right? Look the 28-day cycles of the sun, 28-day cycles of the moon, 28-day cycles within certain things of the Earth, and of course biology. Biology is intimately tied to all the processes of the Earth. And as the minerals or metallics are affected in the Earth, so will the way our thinking it will also be affected.
Because
For
we're made
example,
up of all the minerals, right?
That's right. That's right. And it's everything the Earth has in it, we have within us, including lithium. We got everything in us, right?
Okay.
So if the elements of the Earth begin to react in specific ways due to external activators or external interrupters, we too are going to be interrupted physically, right? The Bible does say that there's coming a time when one person will turn and attack the other. Just brutally attack the other. It also says that a brother will not know who his brother is at a specific time. It also says that a type of madness will be, will sweep the earth, and people will go into a type of madness. Now, this implies
madness.
This implies that people are going to go through a chaotic period of their minds. I believe that is neurological disruption, same thing that happened to some of those cosmonauts from Russia, from the early space programs, when they went beyond the shielding of the Earth when it was weak. Their neurological connections were broken. Their frontal lobe was essentially separated from the rest of them. They turned into raving lunatics, and they were clawing each other to pieces. They acted like animals. If that were to happen today, if we lost our shielding, right, we wouldn't have the bond necessary to hold our neurologic system together. It would be highly affected. We cannot function mentally outside of a type of magnetic environment. The body is not made outside of the Earth. It's made inside the Earth, and we can't function, with that outside. So all these things, all these mechanisms come into play, and they're being disturbed. Even right now, they're being disturbed.
Wow. So the core of the Earth, when it changes, as it's changing, and as the Earth is tilting, there's major changes taking place on the Earth. And you mentioned crustal displacement. Now, we had an earthquake today of 6.9. It's up there in the North Atlantic. It's on that fault line that you've talked a lot about. It's pretty big. Several big aftershocks. Can you talk about that a little bit?
That's the beginning of the end. I believe that is. That's the beginning of the end. They have no choice but to cover it. We're going through a period of time where I believe the water event is soon to happen. Now, what the water event is is everything to do with these fault lines and some of the interior oceans, right, that are within the Earth. To date, they have found five large bodies of water. One of them could fill the entire Earth up again, all of its oceans, full of water.
What?
Just one can.
Wait, where's it at? I mean, where's it
inside
at?
the Earth? Inside the Earth.
Inside the Earth. Okay.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, the scale of the Earth, as people see it, is wrong. It's incorrect, right? It's very incorrect. And those who have been at high altitude, who have been there themselves at high altitude above 70,000 feet, they know the scale of the Earth is wrong. When people see it on, maps and things like that, it's incorrect. The Earth is huge. It is huge.
Yes.
And inside the Earth, or the crust of the Earth, is quite thick. It's many miles thick. So within that crust are oceans, or these large cavities of water. Some of that water is superheated. Some of it's under, enormous pressure. As these volcanoes continue to go off,
yep,
as these calderas continue to heat up, they're going to break out. They're going to start breaking out, and they're going to start going upward, right?
Yep.
We're going to have water displacement all over the Earth. And this will be a worldwide event. Most certainly. I can't see how it can be avoided. So we have two culprits for this, which will further some of the shifting of these fault points within the Earth, because that's weight distribution, right? Which is, it's going to wreak havoc on fault lines, all of them, right? Any type water shifting, when the water shifts, that's going to wreak. In fact, I'll give you an example. Right now, and probably no one has heard of this, we have storms coming in from the west, correct?
Yes.
We have a developing pattern in the atmosphere that's going to cause some pretty large low pressure systems to form outside or in the Pacific Ocean. That's going to force water near Hawaii, right?
Okay.
It's going to force a lot of water near Hawaii. When this happens, it will cause a quake near California. It will always do that, because when the water shifts, right? When the water shifts, that's a whole bunch of weight that's distributed from, the mid Pacific over to the west coast of the USA. When this takes place, it's going to help that subduction zone do what it does just a little more. And we're going to have some pops. Pops will start to go off as the ground, equilibrium kicks in. And that land release is causing an earthquake on the west coast. It always happens that way.
So the water is going to shift,
yes,
over by Hawaii, but that will cause an earthquake, a big one maybe, over near along.
I'd say probably about a 6, maybe a 6.0,
okay,
or something like that.
Still,
maybe about a 6.0. But it's just to
California.
watch it. You'll see these large patterns of storms begin to form.
Okay,
they're going to push water down towards Hawaii. That'll be cold water too. As it goes down towards Hawaii, there's going to be a lot of wind associated, right? Some very nasty winds.
Wow.
Associated. As that happens, the surface waters are going to flow towards Hawaii, right? Which will always causes a dip or a difference in the level of the water in the oceans. Some of the buoys will start to register a negative value as far as where they were, hours before or something like that. So when they put all those numbers together, you always see these big bowl type configurations from the data coming back from the buoys. That's just from the wind, right? Water weighs a lot. Mm-hmm. So with the shifting of the water, any weak spots in these fault lines, it will essentially begin to agitate. And then you have, these small quakes here and there, right? Yes. So all these are factors for earthquakes. All of them are. So you have winds, you have weather systems that are moving lots of water. They can assist in earthquakes. You have solar activity, right? Yes. Which will affect that can affect the angular momentum of the Earth when they abruptly, hit us like that. All these things. And earthquakes, of course, they contribute to the magma moving in the Earth. They disrupt the land masses, and you have magma going all over the place, which is why Alaska's volcano is active. Italy is about to go off. Alaska's certainly going to go off. That's The
over by Anchorage, is that what the Mount Sur or whatever?
Yeah. That one is because they're spewing out gases. The gases are becoming more potent, right?
Okay.
More potent, and so that's an obvious one. Italy is an obvious one now.
Yeah, you keep bringing that up. Yep.
Yeah, it's about to go off too. That there are gases that are changing as far as the mixture, as far as what's coming out in the potency. So we have all this going on all at the same time. We are certainly in a very different time, but the Earth is undergoing some massive changes. We also have double the melt of the ice underwater in the southern hemisphere of the Earth. And of course, it's melting from the ground up and from the top down. Right?
Now Mike, I just saw that in Antarctica, under the ice that is melting from the bottom up,
yes,
they have discovered dozens and dozens of brand new species, new fish, new eels, new that had never been seen before.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? I mean, how much undiscovered species are there? I mean,
Pastor, there's a lot throughout the Earth. You're looking at thousands. Nobody knows. It could be millions of undiscovered species. A true fact is, every single week they discover 70 plus species, brand new species, every single week.
Really?
Yep. This is every single week. So we don't know as far as the oceans. What do we? They say we understand is like a small percentage.
Yeah, very small.
Right. But we don't understand too much of the ocean. We haven't mapped all of it. It is enormous, essentially, right? It's a lot to search for, and it's very difficult to do that.
So what's causing the Antarctica and Antarctic? What's causing these? It's heating up from underneath. Is that
melting from the ground up? That's right. Not from the top down, but from the ground up. And what that tells me is that magma, right? Now think of this: we have some sort of influence is coming externally from this solar system. It's affecting our sun. Our sun is clearly going through a cycle. All these CMEs and everything else, they're going to continue to feed radiation, because radiation comes in by way of solar winds to the poles, sucked into the poles through magnetic, highways right into the Earth, and it heats up the magma, right? All that energy is going into the Earth, is heating up the magma like an overcharged battery. This continues. So the magma is going to continue to increase in both pressure and of course, temperature. As it increases, it's going to make room for itself, right? It's going to open up new tunnels, new cavernous systems. It's going to move all over the place is essentially what we see. So we're being heated up from the inside out, not from the outside in. Right. But from the inside out. Now, this heating up is causing water vapor to evaporate at an accelerated rate, which is causing excess storms.
Okay.
Right. These storms that we have right now are quite huge. I don't think anybody can ignore that.
Yes.
They can't ignore that one. They're pretty huge. And you're looking at, for example, 10 inches of rain to cover 1/4 of the USA. What is that about?
That's insane. I mean,
you're looking at 1.1 million, 1.1 or 1.2, 1.3 million gallons or tons that are stuck up there in the air that's just released, right? Yeah. That potential is going up. It's going up, it keeps going up because the water's heating up. Okay. It evaporates, right? It gets forced up into the upper atmosphere, in which it condenses with dust and everything else and falls as rain. This process is going to continue because the waters continue to heat up. We're going to hit a point where it starts to trickle down. The winds are coming. This is going to be one of the most challenging times we ever faced.
So these storms we're having right now, big tornadoes, but we're getting massive rain, flooding, and this has been going on for a period of time now. And as we speak, they think we're going to get their 15 inches of rain is going to fall somewhere between Louisville and Nashville, and the whole area, from Texas on through Louisiana, Missouri. Parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Southern Illinois, and Indiana, just right through that whole area. Massive. So we're getting tornadoes, we're getting bad storms and winds and thunder, but the rain, the amount of water. So is that what you're saying is going to keep happening?
It's going to increase. It's going to increase. Now, but something else happens as it increases, Pastor Paul. And here it is, the most dangerous thing we're going to see. This is going to be the key. The water is going to be one thing to deal with. Storms is going to scare people every time they hear of a forecasted storm. But you're looking at, say 1 million square miles of area, right, full of clouds that are going to drop some rain. That's about 500,000 kilograms. It's going to start dropping that everywhere. That will increase. But with that density in the upper atmosphere taken away, I mean, it's going to be full, right? It's going to really compress the atmosphere, causing fast winds all over the place.
Okay.
Right? Because the air is still going to move. So if you were to take a fan and blow it inside of an empty room, as a small fan, no big deal, right?
Right.
But if you take that same room and you shorten the ceiling all the way down to about 2 feet high, and then you compress the walls where it's a 2 foot by 2 foot corridor that air is going to blow through, right? You're going to increase the wind speeds and how strong that wind is going to be. When wind has a lot of area, right, it is harmless, just about. But as it's being compressed, the power of that wind is going to increase exponentially.
So is that what
that area gets?
Now, besides storms,
density,
is
that's
that
right?
Is that why it's affecting what looks like airplanes? I mean, we're getting a lot of airplanes crashing, Mike.
Well, the airplanes, that's a few things.
There's more than one. More than one reason.
Weather's just one thing, but we've reached a point with technology where the average person can sniff out certain systems on an aircraft and bring it down, period. The fires are coming. The floods are coming. And worst of all, the winds are coming. Winds, bad winds, winds that will knock over a cruise ship in the ocean, winds that will cause tsunamis without an earthquake, without an eruption, winds that are going to start to topple things that won't slow down. Those type winds. Density is increasing in the upper atmospheres beyond belief, right? So that's going to really compress the jet stream, causing higher wind speeds. We're going to notice this in average storms. When we start having 80-mile-an-hour winds every single thunderstorm, then what? And when you have hail, that's going to increase the hail size, right? With an increase in the winds, hail size is increased. So we'll see that this summer, and tornado season has not started yet.
Really?
And we're having tornadoes all over the place.
So it's good.
Normally it's at the end of May, right? May or somewhere in May. We start seeing that tornadic activity that's really terrible and heavy, and the thunderstorms that do damage. But we're seeing that already. The rainfall has already topped the scales, right? And we have more flooding for the next 7 days or several days because of a stalled system. A stalled system that was almost perfectly predicted, before it ever got here. And we have about 4 more right behind it.
Really?
Stalling systems. Yeah, they're going to be stalled by what's essentially a wall of heat. A wall of heat. So that's going to continue. The floods are going to continue before they abruptly stop, but they're going to continue. They're going to take their toll.
Wow. Well, and they are rescuing people as we speak here the last 24 hours. Nashville and other parts in Tennessee, it's been really, really bad. And as you said, this stalled system is going to continue to dump tons of water, straight line winds and tornadoes. It's going to continue to happen. What about the meteorites? I know we've talked about it in the past. There's like those two I remember you saying there's 2 clouds, but really it's debris, I guess. Can you talk about that some? Because we're seeming to have more and more near misses happening right now. We had 2 last night.
Here we are.
Your thoughts?
We are. Well, we're going to have an increase in let's just say that a big pile of junk is out there, and we're flying right into it. We can't turn left or right. We can't do it. Right. So we're headed right for it. and it's headed right for us. When you see how we traverse the galaxy here, this galaxy, it really gives you an insight into, because some of the parts that we're covering have not been, some of the parts we're going through right now that we've not gone through in a very long time, right? Thousands of years. So we're not familiar with this portion of space we're in. There are trashy portions of space. I mean, like debris is all over the place.
Really?
Right? Big lines, nothing but rocks. It's kind of like a big asteroid belt that somehow was stretched out, and we have to go right through it. So there's no way we're going to miss that debris that's in it, right? It will start out with, we're going to keep having these near misses and things coming in and out. But then one day, Pastor Paul, we're going to have an unscheduled meteor shower that nobody predicted, right?
Really?
In other words, that has no name. It belongs to no object. And then that will continue. Here's the strange thing. It's going to continue. So every night people are going to get this light show. They're going to begin to see different things in the skies. Right now, there's a portion that is so thick nobody can see through it. So some of the sky to us is obscured. You can't see through it. Once we get around the curve, so to speak, we're going to see some new lights in the heavens.
So let's see if I got this right. So there's this massive, like behind me here, massive debris coming. And it's so thick in some parts on its way that we can't see the lights behind it. We can't see.
Yes, that's right. It's a lot of debris in certain areas, right? It's quite thick. You cannot see behind it until you get around it. Then you'll see some new heavenly lights that we've not seen in thousands of years.
Now, when do you anticipate this meteor storm that we don't even know is coming? Or we don't have a name for it. It's not from a comet or something.
There's Pastor, there has been recently, this is recent, there has been a clampdown, right, on weird things like our actual velocity, right? Those who know that are no longer sharing that information. There have been certain data points you cannot have access to anymore. So nobody can use it in their modeling. They're making sure that I guess that nobody can predict with some absoluteness.
Are you saying they're shutting down some of the?
Oh yeah, they're not going to let it be known.
Some of the things that we could used to be able to watch and look in, they're shutting them off, or
velocity of the velocity of the Earth, right, is not just the Earth. You're looking at the whole solar system, and that takes a lot of devices to actually capture that data from, extrapolate our velocity based upon movements of stars and everything else. Well, they know if they hold back certain data points, all you can do is guess. So it's almost like they don't want anybody to be exact in this. That lets me know we're close. We're very close. See, with space, something can seem millions of miles away until it's right there in your face, right? So there have been lots of people who have miscalculated things, kind of like some of these flybys that we have. There were folks, there was a flyby that we had, a near miss, that we had, I believe, 2 months ago, that was actually calculated, but it was like 4 months off or something like that, right? So mistakes like that can be made. It can be made. So imagine, we have an unexpected meteor shower in a month. It doesn't stop. It lasts for about 15 to 20 days. And then all of a sudden we start having debris come into our atmosphere. And then it stops, only to start up again. And then stop and start up even worse.
Wow.
Things like that will happen. So it's not like people are going to get the notification for anything like that. Plus, if it's going to destroy anything on the earth, they will not tell anybody. They're not going to tell you.
No.
The only thing we absolutely have is the Word of God.
Amen.
They're not going to tell anybody. They just won't do it. Plus, they don't. They know the Word of God. They just won't admit it. They know the accuracy of it. They won't admit it.
Yeah, and they also know the science. They know the Word of God, and then they also can see it. They're not letting us see it. They're not reporting it. They're not telling us. They're not preparing us for it. So we're going to be left in this limbo when we're going to be seeing these rocks flying by then and these asteroids, and we're going to be saying, what's going on? Are we going to get an explanation? Are they going to say it's the aliens?
No, we're going to be left on our own. They're not going to have it. When it gets bad like that, authority will not be among the people unless somebody wants to be there. They're not going to be among the people. They won't. Yeah. Well, we're gonna notice that. I'll tell you this: in the USA, when you start seeing people move away from certain parts of the USA because they're not viable, right? When they announce we have a crop problem for real, then we'll start to know we're in the. I know a lot of people identify that we're in the end times, but it's it's just like the scripture, Pascal. It is sweet to know it at the beginning because it's coming, but to be in it is quite bitter because now you know what you have to face. And as these events begin to multiply, people are going to lose. They're going to start. They may lose momentum in trust and things of that nature if they have not resolved that right away. Yeah, it takes a relationship that's resolved right away with no playing, because when these things begin, it'll seem like every dark force everywhere is going to try and take advantage of people and maneuver them. But don't be surprised if certain states have areas of that state where nobody can live in anymore. They will evacuate certain parts of certain states due to water, due to sinkholes and things of that nature, right? Well, insurance companies will not insure everybody, and that's people are finding that out already. So some people lose their homes; they have lost everything.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask this question: Greenland. Okay, I know Trump is looking at. He wants Greenland. It's strategically to protect the Western Hemisphere. But isn't it kind of interesting that there was that movie that came out that there was this massive asteroid coming, and it was catastrophic, and that the only place was Greenland.
And it was meteors all over the place, right?
Yeah. And they have to go underground.
That is interesting, isn't it? I tell you what, though, the military works in many different lands. That you'd be surprised.
It's all over the world.
For example, the Air Force, right? Like what the Air Force has is where they're working at, right? You'd be surprised. If an emergency ever came to be, I think nations would take what they had an ability to take at that time. But I'll tell you something, Pascal. If there was a perturber out there,
okay,
and if these are the end times,
okay,
and if the effects, all these happenings on the earth are due to this perturber,
okay,
there's no time. They're not going to have time to build.
It's too late.
Anything brand new. Whatever facilities are out there is what they're going to have. Now, I will give you some tactics, though, like missing persons and dead people. I know for a fact that's how they move people into safe areas. They come because they'll never come topside again. Once they go into these protected areas, they never come topside again, so they report them dead. They report them dead to the people out there, and people never ask about them again, right?
Yeah.
But they would have to do this at least 4 to 6 years in advance. You cannot go down there a couple of days before the event.
Because you can't
acclimate.
You got to get acclimated. Okay.
That's right. You have to acclimate with the air, the ecology, and everything else down there. You just can't start living in a place like that and expect to survive. So that means if something is coming, then most of the important people are either dead or have bowed out. So we think. Right? Civilians. So the civilians think, but these people are actually gone to protected areas, and in their place, they've left all the secondaries. Yeah. So that means right now, all you see are secondaries, like people you wouldn't normally pick for things. That's what you see topside. Yeah. That's what you see topside. Give that some thought, because most of the folks who knew what they were doing with the country, where are they? Where are they at?
So you're saying that this process has begun, that the building,
if something is coming,
let's just say if something
is coming.
Well, it's sort of like
it would have to.
I mean, predictive programming is something that we certainly now know for sure is done through Hollywood through, Amazon and Hulu and Netflix and books. There's a lot of predictive programming going on. So by the time it gets to us, it's probably already too late to whatever else they're doing. They do know the Bible. I've heard you say that there are prophecy teams in the U.S. government to study the Bible to try to figure out the prophecy. Right. Is that right?
That's right. Who do you think pays archaeologists? The government.
Yeah, the government.
They pay universities subsidies and things of that. And so if they don't cooperate with the government, they get no money. They can't do anything. Right? If the government cuts off the money, the schools, universities, institutions, they can't do a thing.
No.
The government funds all of that. They fund all of it.
Mike, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's an honor to have you. Thank you.
It's an honor to be here, Pastor Paul. God bless you, brother.
God bless you too. God bless.
All right. God bless.